Welcome to the DePIN State presented by 𝐒𝐮𝐲. I'm Nick Hawks. On today's episode, we have Erhan, the product manager, and Deniz, the co-founder and CTO over at Soarchain. This episode is sponsored by 𝐒𝐮𝐲 Labs. If you're pushing the limits of what's possible on chain, you should build your own rollup with eclipse. We'll have a little bit more on them later in the show. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. This alerts you to when the next show drops and helps us bring great guests like Deniz and Erhan on the show. Deniz, Erhan, welcome on the show, man.
Hi,
men. Yeah.
Hello.
Super excited to have you guys on. Let's see. So let's start off with what Soarchain is, and then we'll get a little bit into your background and then go deeper from there. But yeah, what's Soarchain? What does it do?
Yeah. So Soarchain is a mobility-focused layer one blockchain. It is a Cosmos SDK chain, and it is designed to specifically serve highly mobile nodes and to handle extreme amounts of data. It aims to unlock the potential of the data and connectivity ecosystem in mobility by providing this logical paradigm that incentivizes all the parties that are involved in the mobility sector, from car manufacturers to end users, to tier one suppliers, to service providers such as like insurance companies, service providers, and anyone who's got something to do with mobility and anyone who's serving mobility.
Okay. That's a mouthful. I mean, is there a, let's see, the shorter version is that I'm seeing is that you guys have a couple products that you can just plug into a car. They just take car data and feed it back into a giant system. And then you get paid tokens for that, or you earn tokens for that.
Exactly. From a user's perspective, I think that would be the most straightforward explanation you could get. Although I would add on top of that, not only you become a part of the data ecosystem, but also you get rewarded for making your computational and connectivity resources available to the network, which further strengthens the overall layer one blockchain network, which we're trying to create. It will be a decentralized network of cars, not only like a data aggregation network, but an actually physically decentralized network of cars.
Got it. And you guys have a pretty deep background. I mean, as that's obvious just talking to you in on the vehicle side. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you guys have done before you came to Soarchain and started this thing off?
Before Soarchain, actually, we were working on autonomous vehicle technologies. I'm coming from an automotive background. I've been working in automotive for about 10 years. I've been working on autonomous technologies, specifically the hardware and the software that enables a vehicle to become autonomous. And we were actually pretty good at it. And we were able to make a single vehicle almost fully autonomous. But then we saw that, okay, when you put 100 of these vehicles together, then you need a connectivity layer. And then we started developing these connectivity technologies. And then we saw that, okay, this is not only a necessity for these autonomous vehicles, but this is actually a necessity for all the vehicles, because we got a lot of attention from the already existing car manufacturers, OEMs, tier ones. So we started working with them. And then after that, we saw the shortcomings of the automotive industry, where it's a very slow moving industry, it's very fragmented, and it is kind of closed to innovation. Although they do want to innovate, they need an open platform, they need a hardware, software, and a high level API layer on top of that, so that they can develop their applications which make sense in terms of a business perspective for them.
Yeah. So they need a little bit of help. Now, you guys are running on your own layer one, which is a little bit unusual right now. The trend is to create tokens that live on existing chains. What's the advantage, or why did you decide to do your own L1?
Yeah, I mean, it's got its own difficulties and also its advantages. First of all, the block space. So when we're working with these automotive companies, they have done their previous private blockchain projects on different chains, but they actually want their own block space, and they see the need for mobility-focused blockchain that serves only their needs. The second thing is that we're able to optimize everything on the protocol level, like not on the VM level or like not on the smart contract level, but actually on the protocol level. When we started developing this system, we even were developing our own consensus layer, which we then switched to Tendermint, but you get the idea. Since these are highly mobile nodes with very, very poor connectivity, communication assumptions, and extreme amounts of data, this definitely needed its own implementation on the protocol layer. And on top of that, you of course have your independent governance. And being a 𝐒𝐮𝐲 SDK chain, it also enables us to become IBC enabled, to be natively bridged with other IBC enabled chains, which opens up a whole range of possibilities, because we need a lot of different functionalities to make this a reality. And obviously, we're not going to develop all of them.
Right. Now you've said it twice now. That's an extreme amount of data. What does that mean? Is there a number that goes with that?
Yeah, I mean, the number might be misleading, but usually like a modern car is able to generate about 2 terabytes of data per day. But of course, this is not recorded anywhere. This is not stored. This is not communicated with anywhere. But the whole point is to share this data with the right endpoint at the right time. So it's not only like you're sending some data to the cloud, but if necessary, you'll also need to send this data to the nearby car to avoid an accident, or to notify that an ambulance is coming, or to notify some hazardous location on the road. So these are all parts of Soarchain applications. That's the whole ecosystem.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the vehicle generates 2 terabytes per day, but what you're saying is you don't need to send all of that over the cell connection, because you guys are doing what is it, CV to X, cellular vehicle to everything? That's kind of the but you certainly don't need to send 2 terabytes of data, but you might want to send it to the vehicles near you. It's an interesting way to kind of break up maybe the giant pie of data that vehicles are generating, is only send the stuff that is important. Okay, so is that data always getting recorded to the chain, or how does that work?
No, so there is a intermediate scaling layer that we've designed to verify the plausibility, integrity, and the authenticity of that data, which can be thought of as a sequencer L2 layer, I guess. But it is trustless. It uses succinct proofs to make sure that the intermediate nodes work trustlessly, meaning that they don't need to get into consensus, and they generate a proof, which is then verified by the layer 1 itself. And that's how we handle these extreme amounts of data.
Okay, there's some math going on there.
Yeah, a lot.
Very serious business. Cool. Let's see. Do you guys have customers, or who are your customers going to be right now? Are there folks paying for this data yet, or is that still in the roadmap?
So there are like many companies that we have been already working with, like mostly OEMs, tier ones, very large companies that will be deploying their applications on Soarchain. And we also have some newly coming startups, teams, and even big companies. Maybe Erhan, you could also weigh in on that part and give more insights on which applications and which types of companies will be on Soarchain.
Yeah. So the most important part about the Soarchain is actually the decentralized application that will be happen both on the hardware level and on the mobile app level. So inside the team, we are also building our applications, which is more basic console dashboard, like vehicle mounting applications. But also, as Deniz mentioned, there are some middle range companies that works on insurance, for example, smart insurance, that tries to migrate their business into the Web3 domain. And also we are working with a company right now. We are POCing it. They are developing a Uber-like application, a ride-hailing application that will be deployed on Soarchain. But the major applications would come from the OEM side, which we actually already developed even before starting the Soarchain.
Got it. And you guys have a really cool page on all the different app possibilities there are. I'll make sure I put that in the description. Let's take a quick break for today's sponsor. One of the super cool things about this show is we talk to lots of projects across the space, including the back-end nerdy stuff, a little bit what you've been talking about, but that helps deepen projects who aren't doing their own L1. One of those is today's sponsor, eclipse Labs. They're a customizable rollup provider deploying app-specific chains for a bunch of different DePIN projects. They allow you to pick your virtual machine, your base layer, and additional customizations to enable new functionality for your DApp. eclipse is committed to helping projects build on DePIN. Check them out at eclipse.builders and check the card above for a link to an interview we did with them if you haven't seen it. You guys should totally check them out. I know you're doing your own L1, but they've got some really cool stuff that they've got going on. Okay, let's talk for a second then about how people can participate right now with Soarchain. Is there 2 devices you can buy, or is there just the one? I saw the Modus Mini and the Modus Pro. Are those both still available?
Yeah, let me start, Deniz. So we have 2 devices which we call Modus Mini and Modus Pro. So the Modus Mini is actually a lighter version which uses the mobile phone to connect to the internet, and it is a more affordable alternative to the Pro one. The other one has the V2V protocol, that vehicle to everything technology on the board with this chipset. It is more like a developer device, more for power users. But to come into the chain and participate into the incentivized testnet, which is live right now, the easiest way is to order a Modus Mini, which is directly, it's off the pre-order right now. We can directly send the devices. But for Modus Pro, we have a couple months of QA testing on the roadmap.
Got it. And what's the price difference between those? I know there's a pre-order price of $200 on the Pro and then another 5 something, but what's the Mini and the Pro look like price-wise?
Yeah, the Pro is right now around $700 US, but the Mini version is 75, I guess, right now, or maybe $80.
Cool. Super cool. And then right now, do you guys you're generating tokens? Are people earning them if they buy right now, or is there a token generation event in the future?
Yeah. So yeah, right now we're in the incentivized testnet stage, where the people are actually utilizing the same protocol that will be on the mainnet. Of course, there will be some upgrades and modifications to the overall technology, but the idea is the same. And they're right now is called T-Motus, testnet Motus tokens, which is a reward for the participation. And the generation event hopefully will be within this year, where those tokens will also be converting to.
Super cool. So I can order a Modus Mini now, plug it in, and get this test stuff. What does it need? It sounds like it's going to need a lot of data, even if it's not the 2 terabytes. Does it need its own hotspot? Does it connect to the phone all the time? Do you have to keep an app open? Like, what does that look like for me as a user?
Yeah. You go.
Yeah. For Modus Mini, yes, you need a vehicle that has an OBD2 port and a protocol that's compatible with Modus Mini, which is a generic protocol that is mandatory after 2008. Even in US, it's 2001, I guess, as I remember, or 1996. So it is compatible to many cards. And yes, for the Modus Mini, you need your mobile hotspot to be on for connection, but we are right now testing the Bluetooth connection as well. But you don't need the app to be open on the foreground. It can work on the background. It can send out the vehicle data to the network while working on the background as well.
Got it. And then what kind of data is it sending per day? Am I going to be chewing through a data plan if I don't have unlimited, or is it kind of not noticeable?
It is not noticeable, but the exact figure I cannot remember. Maybe Deniz, you do.
Yeah, it also depends on the it's not 2 terabytes. It's not even 2 gigabytes. We like calculated something theoretically at most 2 gigabytes, but we've never seen any card generating that much data at the moment, because also right now we're not like pulling the data crazily. We're testing out different functionalities. We're subsampling the data. There's a lot more to actually pull from the car, but we're just pulling some common set of data, because the idea is to not only send those data to the cloud or some endpoint, but make sure that the vehicle is in a state that it is connected and is able to send those data. So whenever it is explicitly asked by a data consumer, it can immediately provide that data. So that's the whole goal of rewarding arbitrary data.
Okay. Super cool. Well, I got a million questions. I could probably bend you guys here for another couple hours, but let's wrap it up with what does it look like next for Soarchain? Are we looking kind of 3 months ahead, 6 months ahead where you guys launch? Like, what's the next big milestone for you guys? Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, Erhan, would you like to?
Erhan, you got that one?
Yeah. So the tested period will be going on through the end of this year. So around the 3 months or 4 months period will be going on the mainnet. The apps that I mentioned and Deniz mentioned, a couple of them would be live and would be accessible from the mobile app. We are really focused on the application side, since this project has a sustainability when we side with a utility on it. So the app is working stably. We are constantly developing the app side, the hardware and firmware side, also the blockchain side as well. So things are going great. We invite everybody to join and test the device and use these cool applications.
Right on. Super, guys. Well, thanks a ton for coming on. Super excited to have you guys back on when you have your next big piece of news, and really appreciate you sharing with the audience what's going on in the world of Soarchain. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having us, Nick.